Hi, Frequent Flower subscribers. It is Sarah LoBue with Mean Street Florist. And this month we are bringing you some beautiful roses for your Frequent Flower subscription. So today I'm gonna walk you through the flowers you received this month, and then we're also gonna do just a simple hand-tied arrangement that you can drop down into any vase that you have at home. Let's start out with the flowers you're getting this week. So you are gonna be getting some Solidago. Now, not to be confused with goldenrod. This is not like what you see growing in the fields in the Midwest that a lot of people feel like they could be allergic to. This is Solidago. You're not gonna have allergic reactions to this. Your average person is not gonna have allergic reactions to Solidago. But it is a beautiful filler. Traditionally comes in yellow. Sometimes we see it coming in cream, or it's tinted different colors as an option as well. But we've got yellow Solidago this month. And then you've got our fan favorite. This is our favorite in the shop. These are free Spirit Roses. Now, if you've been in this subscription for a while, you've probably had these before. And part of me thinks like, ooh, maybe they'll be sick of them. I don't think that's possible. We get these in every week during the summer, and even us that arrange them every day are not sick of them. We love free spirits. Here's what we love about them. They have a super high petal count. So there are so many petals in there. Different rose varieties have different petal counts. So sometimes when we are choosing flowers for an event or a special occasion, we are looking at the petal count just to get an idea of how it's gonna open. We like that it opens large, like a big garden rose, rather than your typical traditional rose. Something to keep in mind with these roses, they are a variety that are gonna open pretty fast, but then they're gonna stay and hold their shape. Previously, there was the idea that as soon as roses opened, they were done. They wouldn't last very long, they weren't sellable. We now know that there are so many more varieties that are being grown specifically to be showy and wonderful for events that are still gonna be long lasting. These free spirits are very much like that. The other interesting thing about them is a brand new free spirit, which one of these is brand new. I believe this one is brand new, just arrived today. Will have these really kind of rich colors. We love its two-tone, we love its ombre, it's sort of that peachy pink orange. Now, as it starts to age, it starts to fade a little bit in color. It is still beautiful, but the color fades a little bit. So it's almost like getting two different types of roses, and not every rose will be the same. When we order in roses, they come in bunches of 25. Every single one will be slightly different, which is pretty fun and exciting. So, free spirits, love them. And then you've also got some Solal. This is just the greenery that we are gonna use to fill out your bouquet. Very long lasting. We have Solal in all the time, very dependable. We love Solal. You are going to receive these and the stems are already gonna be cleaned. Our team here is gonna do the hard work for you. But just so you're aware how it works, when we get roses in, they often will have thorns. Some varieties are grown without thorns. Free spirits typically do still have pretty gnarly thorns on there. So you're not gonna have to clean them. We will do that work for you, but just so you know how it works, we use a rose stripper like this. We typically leave the first leaf or two, depending, and then we gently pull down and it removes all of those thorns like magic. The other thing to know is the first outer petal of any rose is called the guard petal. These are the petals that are first showing color for the rose. They protect the rest of those interior petals. So often those petals are gonna be bruised and look a little worn. You can just remove those guard petals. Now, sometimes I love the look of guard petals because they can be the most interesting. They can have the most kind of color to them, but it's really a preference. If you're arranging in your home, it is whatever you would like to do. If we're arranging a dozen roses in the shop for a customer, typically we will go ahead and remove the guard petals because people may not know what they are and just assume that they are old or that they're wilting, even though it's just the guard petal. Okay, so as you unwrap your flowers this month, make sure to keep this little piece of bind wire. We are gonna use this to hold our bouquet together when we're finished. And then our Solal, depending on the size of your subscription, you're gonna have a different amount of Solal. But I am going to cut apart some of these laterals really just the longer ones. So what we're gonna learn today is a simple hand-tied spiral bouquet. Now, any florist, as they are learning and growing through their career, is going to learn this. For you working at home, it is a great technique to learn. Whether you are buying flowers to arrange yourself, maybe you're cutting them from your garden, but this is gonna give you that nice, clean, hand-tied look that then you can drop into any vase or container. So I'm gonna start with my rose and a Solidago. I'm gonna take these two stems. They're going to become the center point of my arrangement. Now, I'm gonna go in with my other roses, and each one I'm gonna place going the same direction. Years ago, I learned from another florist a technique that seems a little silly, but worked for me. I saw so many florists doing this. I was taught how to do this several times over, and then one day it just finally clicked because I heard her explanation. So if this doesn't click for you, maybe search some other spiral hand-tied bouquets. It just takes practice. But what this florist taught was to make sure you're placing every stem going the same direction. She would tap it on her shoulder so that you are creating that diagonal line, and then that is where she placed it into the bouquet. And then I'm gonna grab my next rose and I'm gonna tap. And then I'm gonna turn a little, turning this hand a little bit. I just got a loose hold over here, and I'm placing it at the angle. And I'm gonna tap and place it at the angle. When I first saw her doing this, I was like, maybe this is some like magical ritual she's doing. Maybe it was, but it was really just about getting the angle. So tapping, placing the angle. And then you can see all of my stems are starting to do that spiral in the angle. Tap, place it in the angle, tap, place it in the angle. And what that does is it just naturally creates that easy bouquet. Now, since you just have a loose hold on it, you can go in and you can change the height of things, kind of pull things up, tuck things down so that you have some dimension. Maybe you like the perfectly roundy moundy look, you can do that as well. I'm gonna do the same thing with my Solidago. I sort of want them to be spaced out evenly. Gonna tap, gonna place that stem. Turning it, tap, I'm gonna place that stem. Same thing, I'm holding it loosely. If I want to pull some of these inward a little bit, I can do that. And I've just got a loose grip, not a vice grip, just a loose grip on those stems. Now I'm gonna go with my Solal and just collar around it. Now, if you're not happy with this, put your stems out, try it again. It takes several times of practice to get it to look the way you want it to look. I've done this for several years, so it comes a little easier, but there are days, just like if you are a runner, or if there's any, maybe you bowl, a sport you play, any hobby you have, some days you come to work or you do that hobby and things come together easily, and some days it's just a struggle. Something that you've done 1,000 times over becomes a struggle. My suggestion is take it apart, walk away, go get a drink, take a breath, take a walk, and then come back to it with fresh eyes, take a deep breath and try it again. And lots of times that second time around, it'll come together a little bit easier. So I'm just gonna collar it. This is a very large piece of Solal. Let's see if I can spread it out a little bit. But same thing, I'm going at that same angle. So if you need to use the tap method, you can do that. Tap. And then we've got our collar. So from here, you're gonna take your bind wire that you saved, and you are going to wrap those stems, almost like a twisty tie. Wrap it all the way around. Once you have it wrapped and it feels secure, you can go in and trim your stems. So we have our vase of clean water. I already put a pack of flower food in there. I want my roses to rest right at the top of that vase. So I'm gonna hold my stems up to it and kind of see where I should snip. and just give them a nice cut. Tighten my band around it. I've trimmed my stems, and I'm just gonna drop her down in my vase of water. I'm pretty satisfied with that. It's a pretty easy arrangement. This is a technique that you can use with any types of flowers. Today we use the roses, the Solidago, and the Solidago, but anytime you've got some cut stems, you can practice this spiral hand-tie technique and make any creative arrangement that you can imagine. Thank you guys for joining us this month. As always, if you have any questions, drop your comments below, and we'll see you next time.